Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 1496. So, what's 1500? Episode 1500 is going to come. Today's Tuesday, right? Tuesday. Wednesday is 97. Thursday is 98. Friday is 99. Oh, hey, 1500 will be the big Madison Card Show review. This Saturday, Madison Card Show. Almost said the Sheraton Hotel. This Saturday, the Madison Card Show at the Alliant Energy Center. 250 dealer tables. We've got $5 admission, but you pay nothing to park. It's free parking this month. So come on out this Saturday, Alliant Energy Center, 250 dealer tables. With your $5 admission, though, you do receive a $5 coupon to be used in-store at Bonsai Cards and Collectibles in DeForest. So head out there to the trade night after the card show on Saturday night, or head over there on Sunday, and you get your $5 back. We have essentially the space is divided up. Essentially TCG on one side, sports on the other. There is going to be some mix. There are some sports card dealers in the TCG room. Some of the sports card dealers will have Pokemon. So, but for the most part, you walk in right at the entrance where you pay. You're going to have premium vendor space. Madison Card Show t-shirts will be on sale. We've got 5-star accepting submissions right up front. And then off to the left will be the sports card area. To the right will be the TCG area. And then straight back will be the concessions. So they'll have, I know, hot dogs. I can't remember what's all on their menu, but, hot dogs, chips, popcorn. They might do burgers. Let me go to my email and see what I can. Is this my email? I think it's Sodexo is the company, the catering company that they go with. Here we go. Concessions. All right, let's see. So the concessions will be open 9 a to 5 p. Concession items that will be available this Saturday at the Madison Card Show will be hot dogs, brats. I think I'll have me a brat. Nachos, warm pretzels, chips, candy, fountain soda, bottled water, popcorn, juice, Monster energy drinks, original and sugar-free. They also have beer and White Claw. So that is what's going to be offered this Saturday at the concession stand at the Alliant Energy Center at the Madison Card Show. What else is going on? Did a lot of shipping yesterday. Oh, by the way, also for dealers, check your email. Last night I sent out an email to all the dealers on the show list for this weekend, with just details on where to go, a couple maps showing you the layout and where to go to load in and all that stuff. So if you're a dealer this Saturday, check your email. You received an email with directions. Also, I spelled out how tables will go moving forward at the Alliant shows. So basically, if you have a table this Saturday, that table is good. It's basically reserved for the next 3 weeks. And then once the third week hits, you'll have a week to book for the following month. And then anybody who is not booked for the August show, those tables will be up for grabs, with the existing dealers getting first choice. And then any open tables will be given out to the public. Max says, are the front doors locked? Yes. We will be loading in from the back. Yep. Front doors are locked. Load in is from the back. There's an alley and back door going in. So, and you're good for the Pokemon tables. Yes. Which, by the way, the TCG tables will go on sale, aiming for tonight to get those online for booking. What else is going on? So Madison Card Show this Saturday. Did a lot of shipping yesterday. That's it. That's all I did. That's all I did. And I said I got that email made up. That was what I did. It was actually, it's nice, and I kind of there, it's gonna be tight. I mean, it's gonna be tight. I think there's probably, fortunately, I don't think there's rain in the forecast. But once we hit winter, we'll see how this goes. We may have to have an alternative load in during the winter months. So we'll see how it goes, because it's not like, unfortunately, because we're not in the big exhibition area. We're in the ballrooms. If we were in the giant area, it's just garage. You just open up a big garage door and come on in. We're in like a regular door, which is good for security. You have big garage doors, and it's kind of a free for all. But at least, for security purposes, it's good to have just one door. So, Low Roller Scratcher's in the house. It's been a while. He's been out playing skill games. I can't remember, what was I saying? Did a lot of shipping yesterday. That was about it. It was kind of nice not having, I like doing eBay Live at night, but I also hate it at the same time. And I don't, hate's a strong word. It's nice not having to go live at night. Cause I mean, I'm up, here I am, 7:30, 7:45, tackle the day, and then, take like an hour break. And it's burning the candle on both ends. Now, it's not like I don't work, but it's almost like when you work for yourself, you work a lot more. Like, I'm working way more hours than I've ever worked. Well, I probably worked more hours in radio, actually. But I work for myself, and I can choose my own hours. If I want to work at 4 a.m., I can do that and go to bed at whatever time. If I want to sleep in until 10 a.m., which I don't think I ever have that late, but say I wanted to, I could do that and work till midnight or 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I can do all that. If I want to take a couple hours off during the day, I can do that. I haven't been able to do that in a while, though, with my schedule, but that's the opportunity we have as business owners. And I almost feel, when I have a scheduled eBay Live, like, especially at night, like, the daytime doesn't bother me because it's like, it's part of my day anyway, right? But at 7 p.m., it's like, that's usually my pick or choose. Like, do I want to work tonight? Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff to do. I better work tonight. But I am a very spontaneous person. I don't like making plans. So many of you know that. I hate making plans. Like, I don't make plans to go to Cubs games. Like, hey, do you want to go to the Cubs game on August 16th? No, I don't. But maybe on August 12th, I decide, hey, I want to go to that August 16th Cubs game. I don't make plans. About the only plans I make are card shows. I make plans for the National. I make plans for spring training. I make plans each month for the Madison Card Show in Janesville and any other show that I do. Outside of that, I don't make many plans. So with eBay Live, it's like, I'm on I have to make plans. I have to be on this schedule. And it's almost like clocking in. It's like, oh, I've got to go to work. 7 o'clock. Oh, it's almost 7 o'clock. I got to get ready. Got to go to work. Now, it's fun work, especially nights like Sunday night, with what stuff was selling for. But sometimes it's like, oh, I just need a break, right? So I'm actually looking forward. There's an eBay Live this morning at 10 a.m. So check it out. Direct link is in the description to this video. I'll be live this morning in about 2 hours. We'll be selling off more stuff that I bought over the weekend in Janesville. I've got more. Yawning. I got more slabs. And we're just going to, and what I like about we're just taking requests is like last week there was a show where vintage was moving. And it's like, well, we're just going to sell vintage. And people would come in, oh, is this all you're going to do is vintage? It's like, well, okay, what do you want? You want modern basketball? And then something sells for $1. Nobody wants it. We move back to vintage. It's like, well, nobody wants it. And it's funny. It's usually the person that complains, do modern basketball. And I do modern basketball. Well, I don't want that one. Well, who do you want? I want Shea. Well, here's Shea. Well, I don't want that one. I want autographs. It's like, okay, well, this is not a high-end live stream. So basically, I'll give you the opportunity. If you request something, that goes for vintage too. If somebody wants vintage, Red Light wants vintage. If nobody's bidding, it's like, okay, because this isn't fun I don't think it's fun for anybody. It's not fun for me because I'm not making money. And it's not fun for other people because it's like, well, this is boring. But I get it. If you don't like vintage, if you want modern, I get it. So I try to mix it up, but we got to follow where the action is, right? So we'll see. And I think it's the fun part, and it's part of like my personality of spontaneity, being spontaneous is, we do a WNBA night. I'm handcuffed to WNBA. And, half the people in there, well, I don't want WNBA. Well, then why are you here? Are you going to do any baseball? No. So I'm handcuffed, and I don't like being handcuffed. I like being spontaneous. So here's a good question, Flawed Thinker. Something I've been recently curious of is, since you've been doing this full time for a good while, how often do you pay yourself with the eBay payouts? So I'm a daily payout. And it's just, I like liquidity. I don't want somebody else holding my money. It just goes, and I say that as the bank holds all my money. But I'd rather that. But I can't pull it out of eBay. I can't just pull it out of eBay. If I want to go, buy something, it's not that whatever daily payout is going to affect my balance. But when money hits my PayPal, I usually let it get to a certain amount before transferring it to my account. But I don't want PayPal holding my money. I don't want Venmo holding my money. I don't want eBay holding my money. I'd rather that be working for me, even though it's not really working for me in my account, but it could. And I'd rather it be in my account than Venmo's account, PayPal's account, eBay's account. So that's why I do daily payouts. I know some people do weekly because they like the bigger payout. I like daily payouts to grow my account, and not that whatever daily payout is going to make a difference to my buying power, but I'd rather have that money in my account. But at the same time, I'm not one of those, I need my money instantly. Like, oh, I can't believe I have to wait till Monday. Because now eBay, they used to do payouts on the weekends. They don't do payouts on the weekends anymore. So my Monday payout is usually huge because it's, multiple days. Monday and Tuesday are usually really big. And then Wednesday, Thursday are, smaller in comparative terms. But I don't need it instantly. I mean, you do work, you don't get paid right now for the most part, 90% of the time, I would say. So I do daily payouts. Flawed Thinker says, do you do it weekly, bi-weekly, like a common employer, or do you do it every day or only when you need it? Just curious. So there you go. I do it daily because I'd rather the money be in my account. If I have the option. Now, if the option was you've got to wait 2 weeks or a week, then it is what it is. But if I have the option to have my money as soon as possible, give me my money. And I agree with Max. I think it's weird that people let eBay hold their money longer than the quickest payout. I also think that's weird. Like that, what benefit is that to you as a seller on eBay to have eBay hold your money for a week? Like if you do weekly payouts, like what's the benefit? Like, is it just because you're happier with a bigger payout every week than small payouts on a daily basis? Like, I don't understand what the rationale. If you have the choice, whether it's working for you or not, I'd rather have that money in my account where I control my money and not eBay. I mean, and let eBay earn interest. And it's, as a whole, it's a lot of money, but, from our individual, it's, nothing. But collectively, with all the sellers on the platform, there is instant payouts, but there's a fee. Yeah. And I'm not paying because I don't need the money. So I'm not going to get the instant payout either. Same with PayPal. Like I don't do instant payouts because I don't need it. It's just, once it hits my bank account, it hits my bank account. I'm not going to pay to get my money. Now, if there was like an emergency where like I needed the money right now, then I could understand why you would do that. But I think that's just pissing money away if you want your money instantly and pay that fee. Max says, don't say bookkeeping either. That's bad. Get the money in your account and earn more pennies of interest. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I don't want to talk too much on eBay Live because that's all I've been talking. But here is the reason I talk about eBay Live so much is because it's consuming my life. And it's certainly consuming my business and my hobby. So that's why I talk about eBay Live all the time, because I have nothing else going on. It's either I'm selling on eBay Live or I'm shipping. My wife, we're looking out the window and my wife says, I think she says you need to weed. I don't think she said we. I think she said you. Subtle hint. Like you need to weed. And I do. But it's like, when am I going to have time to weed? Like, can we just have the landscapers do that? Is that part of the contract? Can they just weed my garden for me? And fortunately, it rained yesterday, so I didn't have to water the garden. So yeah, that's why I talk about eBay Live all the time. But today I want to talk about something different because I was thinking about it driving to the post office yesterday, and I was honestly, the reason was because it's like all I talk about on Hobby Evolution anymore is eBay Live, and I understand that, but I just explained the reason. It's all I have going on right now. That's all I have to talk about. So I'm either going to talk about eBay Live or I'm just going to not come on in the morning. But I was thinking like, God, what else can I talk about? And like, I'm not buying new products. Like, I don't know what's out right now. Series 2, something else. But I was thinking about all of the cards that I have. And I think what triggered this was I was I was on the Beltline driving past the storage unit, and I've got a ton of shit there now that I haven't even looked through yet from the Goodwill pallet and the big collection that I picked up a few weeks ago down in Chicago. So not to mention all the shit behind me, the shit in the rec room. It's just out of control. And I remember it takes me back to when my wife and I first started dating. I moved to Wisconsin with 20,000 or less sports cards. I had just gotten back into the hobby in probably 2012. I've never fully been out of the hobby, but I've taken like breaks. Like even in, I was heavy into it in the late 80s, early 90s, like everybody else, the mid 90s. I had transitioned from baseball and football to basketball in 92. And then by 95, and maybe it was the Jordan effect. Jordan retiring may have had an effect on me. although I wasn't a Jordan fan, I was a Shaq fan. I was a Magic fan. Maybe Shaq getting traded to the Lakers affected me because he was no longer on the Orlando Magic. But for whatever reason, I stopped collecting cards in like 95. And I got into pro wrestling really hardcore. And I wanted to work in pro wrestling. I knew I was too small to be a wrestler. And I certainly wasn't motivated to work out and lift weights and all the stuff that it takes to be a pro wrestler. But I wanted to work in pro wrestling. I wanted to be like a manager. I think I could have pulled it off too. But I collected magazines. I've always been a collector. No, whether it was cards or something else, music. By the time I was in high school, I collected CDs and then they all got stolen. I told you the story at Stars and Stripes. My Dodge Avenger got broken into. And then let's see. I got back into cards in high school, like toward, I guess it would have been like my sophomore year, junior year, once I got my driver's license. And I think it was 98. It was 98, but it was 98. Got my driver's license. The Cubs are good. Kerry Wood, 20 strikeout game, home run chase. Like, hey, baseball's cool again. And I started collecting Cubs cards in 1998. Bought my first baseball hobby box, Bowman, in 1998. And then, of course, college comes along, not really paying attention. So early 2000s. So college ends. I'm in the workforce. I've got a lot of credit card debt, and I've got all my stuff that I was buying up in the late 90s and early 2000s when I was on eBay in the early days. So I start selling stuff. And what I've learned is when I start selling stuff, all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't want it. Like when I go through my Cubs boxes, like, hey, do you have any Kyle Schwarber? Like, yeah. And it's like, I'll list this. And then all of a sudden I see it again. I didn't even know I had it, but now that I see it, I want it. I want to keep it. And that's what happened in the early 2000s. So I pay off my credit card debt, got my eBay store. All of a sudden now pay off my credit card bills. And now I want to collect again. And then I started in it. It was nostalgia. So this is around probably 2006, 2007. I start collecting Bowman sets. I'm a set builder now, and I'm collecting Bowman sets. Girl I was dating at the time, her dad had a huge junk wax collection, like unopened. I wish I would have just held on to them because they would have been worth a lot more today than what they were worth 20 years ago now, almost 20 years ago. But, I'm taking them to card shows, selling them for $5. And I'm taking a bunch home because they weren't selling for $5. Of course, that was 20 years ago. But he had there was a lot of vintage stuff. There was like a Willie Mays rookie that I sold. He had like a small box of really good stuff. And then he had a lot of junk wax. But he gave it to me to sell. And he's like, you keep whatever, keep all the money, and you and her do whatever you want with the money. So we did. And that got me kind of hooked into the hobby for a couple of years. And then I go through all that and I'm like, this sucks. The Bowman set building sucks. And then I all of a sudden get into autograph collecting, and I'm doing TTM. And this is probably like 08, 09. And I'm just massively hoarding autographs. And then I start doing my broadcast. I heavily into broadcasting, take a few years off, go to work at the university. Cards are an afterthought until one of my coworkers gets into cards. And this is like the early days of breaking. He's like, yeah, he breaks on, he takes vid. I remember one of my coworkers telling me, he's like, you have cards, don't you? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I used to be a hardcore collector. It's like Cam's big into it. He buys boxes and then takes video, opens them and takes video. And I'm like, what the hell for? That was my first introduction to breaking. And I got back into it. So, and then I bought Dave Arnold and I, who's sleeping because he's a teacher and he's off in the summers. Dave's like, the antique store has a bunch of, I haven't told this story in a while, but I'm going to retell it. I know some of the longtime listeners to Hobby Evolution know exactly what I'm going to say, probably word for word. But there's probably some people that haven't heard this story. But this would have been 2012. I was working at the university. It's a Sunday. Dave texts me and he goes, "Hey, the antique store in Good Hope, which is a town near Macomb, there's the antique store in Good Hope. It's right there on the corner. Big antique mall. There's an antique. The antique mall has a bunch of baseball cards." I'm like, "Oh, cool." He's like, "You want to go up there?" And I'm like, "I'm probably hungover." And I'm like, I'm like, "All right, come on, come pick me up." So we go up to Good Hope, and it's just a bunch of junk wax, but it's a ton. It's a ton of junk wax, like unopened boxes, like a whole box of unopened packs, complete sets, random singles, like just a whole bunch of shit, like 2 tables worth. And Dave wanted, I didn't want anything because it was all overpriced. Dave wanted like a 1996 Topps complete set. And it was, I think it was, the sticker was like 25 or $30, whatever it was. But Dave like trying to get it for 20. So say it's 25. I think it was only like a $5 difference, $25. Now, collectively, before I set the stage, or before I tell that I'll set the stage, they're gonna squabble over $5. It was a massive, the 2 tables were just massively piled with stuff. There was thousands of dollars. The sticker price, thousands of dollars. The sticker price. It wasn't worth thousands of dollars, but that's what the sticker price was. So Dave asked, he's like, "Would you take 20 on this set?" He's like, "It's 25." And he's like, "You wouldn't do 20." He's like, "Nope, I got to have 25 for that." Like, wouldn't even come down over $5. It's like, okay. So Dave's like, puts it back. He's like, "I'm going to pass." I'm like, "I don't want anything. All this stuff's overpriced." And obviously he's not going to give any deals. So then the guy, like, we kind of look through just to see if there's anything else. The guy walks away, comes back a few minutes later. He goes, "I'd sell it all for 200. I'm like, it was like $5,000 sticker price on all this stuff. He wasn't going to give a $20 or $25 set for 20. Now he's going to give it all away for 200. I'm like, my God. I'm like, remember, I'm working. I was at the university at that point, which I wasn't making much more than I was at the radio station. So 200 was for a hobby was a lot of money for me. And I'm like, "Dave, let's do it." I'm like, "But I don't want it all." And I didn't want it all at that point. Now today it's like, "Yeah, give it to me. Give it to me." But I'm like, "Let's split it. Like, you want that set anyway. You were going to pay 20 for it. Well, pay an extra 80 and you get fucking in a stacked table worth of shit." So, why did we had to go back for something? Oh, probably for cash. We probably had to go to the ATM for cash. I don't know. But for whatever reason, we had to leave. We came back. We loaded his truck up. We went back to my house. We had a draft. And it's like, "All right, Dave, you found it and you wanted that set first. So you get the first pick and you get the 96 top set that you wanted. And then I'll get the second pick. I'll take whatever I want. And then we'll just go back and forth." So it was awesome. I mean, it was a lot of fun. We just hung out, had a baseball game on because it was in the summer, I think. Had a baseball game on and, just taking turns. Like, okay, I want this. I want this. I want this. I want this. There were no comps. Now, I was looking, even when I collect for the hobby, I'm looking at anything I buy as a commodity for the most part. Now, when I go dig through dollar boxes and find Cubs autos, I'm not looking at these as, "Ooh, well, this is worth $3," or, "Oh, this is only worth 50 cents. But it's still like dollar bills to me. I don't care as much. But if I go buy, a Kyle Schwarber autograph or, something like that, I kind of hope it has a chance to appreciate in value. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. So we're diving back and forth and going through it. So probably the 20,000 cards that I had were probably from that from that. And I had sold off a bunch, and that got me back into eBay as well. I was selling, it was I think it was the Swell baseball greats. And I was selling those and there were, my God. Funny thing is, the sets were actually selling for more than the boxes. Now, today, that wouldn't be the case. But 15 years ago, that was the case. 10 years ago, whatever it was. Yeah, almost 15. But I mean, there were probably 8. I probably had, I mean, we probably split like a case of them. I probably had 8 or 9 of those Swell baseball greats boxes, unopened packs. And I probably sold some boxes, but I was selling and I was happy to get like $15. Now, it was also like $2 to ship back then, maybe $3 at the most. But I just remember like $15, $15, $15, $15, like, and I think you could get a couple sets per hobby box of those cards. And it was a lot of fun. The first couple boxes I opened were fun, and then it's like, okay, I'm sick and tired of seeing the same old Louis Tiant card. So that was a lot of fun, and then that really sparked me back into the hobby to where we are today. But I brought with me about 20,000 cards, and which now is nothing to me. And I remember my wife, the first time she saw my collection, she goes, "Oh my God, that's the most cards that I've ever seen in my life." Just imagine if you would have told future her, like, just wait until your husband has the entire basement full of cards and a storage unit. You think that's a lot of cards. So it kind of got me thinking, the whole storage unit got me thinking, like, why do we collect? Why do we collect? Is it a mental illness? I'm sure there is. Like, I'm sure there's some root of it is some sort of illness. Because my wife doesn't collect things. Like, she likes art. I wouldn't call her an art collector. It's more like decor. And she'll buy like 1 or 2 nice pieces a year. But it'd be like me as a Cubs collector if I only bought like 1 or 2 like high-end baseball cards instead of digging through dollar boxes. But I'm obviously, well, that I'm a quantity guy. I'm not a quality card guy. So, and I know a lot of people, it's like, well, what do you collect? Collect what? I don't know. Do you have a collection of anything? A lot of people don't what do they do? What do I don't think anybody listening to this is a non-collector. What do non-collectors do? Just sit there, stare at nothing? Do they watch the birds outside? I guess it's probably what I'd do. Watch the birds. Try to keep the bunnies out of my garden. So why do we collect? Let's go to the chat and we'll talk. Why do you collect? Drop it in the chat. Why do you collect? Why do you think you collect? I have no idea why. I think it's genetic. Because both my parents were collectors in one way or another. My dad collected useful things like tools, but he had a large collection of tools. Obviously they were used. It's not like a baseball card. You just put it in a shelf and look at it. And that's probably what non-collectors do. Like, well, once you collect them, then what do you do with them? Nothing. And they think that's weird. Well, when you put it that way, at least things although my dad did collect GUNS. I don't think you can say the G word on YouTube. My dad did collect GUNS, but they were in a case like that. I mean, a little more well protected, had locks and stuff. But he never took them out to SHOOT. I don't know if I can say that word or not. He didn't take them out to do that. He just collected them. Now, the tools he could use. My mom, I get my hoarding gene from my mom. Collecting gene, dad. Hoarding, mom. My mom likes to hoard stuff. With the idea it's going to be useful someday. And I have that problem. Well, I can buy this. I might use my magazine collections. Well, I might be able to reference this. Why do I have fucking 500 Beckett and baseball card magazines and Tough Stuffs? And it is good reference, especially going back and reading, especially the reader's right sections of those magazines, because you really learn that the hobby hasn't changed in 30 years and 40 years. We have the same complaints. It's just different, instead of complaining about 50 cents a pack, we're complaining about $500 boxes or $5 packs or $10 packs. All right, let's go to the chat. Todd is here. Good morning. Peter is here. What's happening? Red Lights in the house. Good morning. He's in the crane. Hope to see your name come up on eBay Live at 10 a.m. this morning. We'll run some vintage for you. I've got some of those vintage slabs. I'll run one vintage slab. We'll kind of test the waters. We'll dip our toes in it, see how it goes. Cooter's here. Good morning. George in the house. What's happening? You about to be asking me, why do I sell rather than why do I collect? Then that's also a good question. Why do we and some of us sell for other reasons? Like I think most of us are resellers in some capacity or have been in some capacity. There's people out there that, like, we have a family friend that just gives stuff away, like really nice stuff too. And it's like, you can sell this and make a lot of money. They don't need the money. It's like, no, I don't need it. They don't want to spend the time to resell to make an amount of money that they don't need. Kind of like the collection that I looked at, friends of ours, dad, that had, now he probably a millionaire times whatever, no need for money. So when I, valued the collection, I'm like, this is what it is. It's, a lot of low grade. Like, yeah, there were some Mickey Mantles and Willie Mays, but they were really beat up. It's like, they're, if they were in much better condition, you'd have this much, but they're in this condition. This is what you're looking at. This is what I can pay you outright. Would be my consignment rate. And he's like, I'm not going to, doesn't want to mess with that amount. So I think that's, but I will. I'll mess with that amount. I'll sell a card for $1.99 and lose money on it. Sell a card for $1.50. We talked about that. TD Sports Cards, what's going on? Good morning. Mike Smith's in the house. Philly Joe is here. Good morning. Look at that. Low Roller Scratcher and That 70s Card Show in the same place. LRS and I are here. Flawed Thinker, good morning. You see Card Show selling Labubu toys since it's a new Beanie Baby. I have not. The only time I've heard of Labubu toys is in this chat from you. You are the only person I've ever heard mention the term Labubu toys. Today, going to have vintage. We'll throw some vintage on eBay Live today, 10 a.m. Central, link in the description. Your kid's probably asking Labubu toys since Labubu is crazed now. Sells for $2,000 for rare toys. There you go. Find Labubu. Bolo. Flawed Thinker says something I've been recently curious of. Oh, yeah. We talked about payouts. We talked about instant payouts. We talked about the bookkeeping. Mike's Bus is here. That's how PayPal and Venmo and eBay make money. LOL. Interest. Going to my first 2 locations for skill games. Is it possible? The question was, how often do you pay yourself from your business, not how often you get your eBay money? That I don't know. In terms of how often I pay myself from my business, it's monthly. So I pay taxes monthly, or it goes into an account where my accountant pays the taxes. But basically, I get a draw from my business account to my personal account on a monthly basis. And then a portion goes into my tax fund. I don't know if they're actually submitting that payment or it's just sitting in an account. Should probably know. And then that's how that works. John says, not an AR question, a salary draw question. Just don't throw it away. John says, you didn't want to work in pro wrestling. Trust me. So I did come to learn that I did not, in fact, want to work in pro wrestling, because when I worked in radio, there was a former radio talent that worked at the radio station. He was actually from Macomb, and he worked at the radio station I worked at before I got there, but he was in pro wrestling, and he worked for TNA, and he was a manager. His name was Tim. What the hell was, I think we're friends on Facebook. And but he was on TV quite a bit. Was it Tim Welch? Was that his name? Let's see. No, I don't think it was Tim Welch. What was his name? It was Tim TNA Wrestling. Let's see. It was would have been like the early 2000s. Oh, it was Tim. I'm pretty sure it was Tim Welch. Let's look it up. Yep, 2004. I'm pretty sure this would have been him. Well, maybe not. I don't know, but I know he was tight with like Jeff Jarrett and those guys. And so I remember having a conversation with him at the Ritz, not the Ritz, the cafe, which is a bar in Macomb. And I remember like he was telling me all these stories, and he's like, trust me, basically exactly what that 70s card show says here. He says, you did not, and you do not want to work in pro wrestling. Trust me. He was there, and like, okay. Zach says, had it ever crossed your mind to make a video resume to become a wrestling manager? I feel like the video resume is underutilized tool in one's toolbox. Be the change you want to see in the world. Peter says, I've always been a collector too. For a while, I collected ex-girlfriends. It's a nice collection. That 70s card show says Bo's next move was to ask to borrow $100 from Dave. Pretty much like, hey, I can't afford it. Can you spot me? Good morning, Jody. John says, Schwarber envy. Judging by the name drops this morning, no mentions of Kyle Tucker yet. No, I do get... But I think the reason why by the way, I'd rather have Kyle Tucker than Kyle Schwarber. I'd honestly like to have both. But if I had to pick, I'd take Kyle Tucker. The reason I bring up Kyle Schwarber is because I do have Kyle Schwarber envy. I wish he was still with the Cubs. I even at the time I thought it was an absolutely stupid decision to let him walk. Over I can't remember what it was. Like it was either 6 or 12 million, whatever it was. But anyway, I have a few people in the eBay lives that request Kyle Schwarber. So that's why it was just brought up, I think, Sunday. Like, that's why the cabinet's open, because I was looking through my Cubs to find Kyle Schwarber. George is here. He says, did I just hear you speak of Lewis Taint? I did. Little Lewis Taint name drop. Good morning, Andy Max in the house. What's happening? Zach says, just wait until I corner the Goodwill Gaylord industry like Orange Futures. Most Americans collect debt on cards to buy things they don't need. See eBay Live. Some people have boats, sickness. Some people golf, sickness. Some people are extroverts, sickness. Pretty much. Cody says, good morning. I collect because I gave up on my golf game. There you go. Collecting is about escaping reality and filling time with items one can enjoy. Most people get addicted to their collection, then they die, and people throw out said collection. You know, it's morbid, but it's astonishing the amount of people in this hobby that are collectors and hoarders, like most of us are, that have nobody in their inner circle, myself included, that there's nobody. They don't have anybody. They're like my, one of my former dealer that I was talking to on Saturday, John, at the card show. He goes, I told my wife when I pass away to call you because she has no idea, and you'll do right. My buddy Scott, the same thing. He goes, my kids, he goes, they're gonna call you because if otherwise they'll just throw it in the dumpster because they think this stuff's junk. So and same thing in my house. My wife would be like, just come and take it. It's like, no, it's my stuff. Johnny M says, good morning. I don't collect anything. Everything can be sold. So I guess I collect money. That's a good way to put it. Everything has a price. Everything has a price. Like, I don't know if there's anything in my collection that if a number was laid down, I'd be like, yep. Because most of the stuff can be, I have a few things that cannot be replaced. But if the price is right, I'd sell anything. Absolutely. Flawed Thinker says, I only truly collect Ryan Zimmerman. I was able to see his very first and very last home runs live. Also, he's Mr. National. Not many players alive can say they were the first in the franchise. That's a pretty cool thing. George says, my answer is a pivot. I also collect cameras, which are rather expensive, and shoot film, which is an expensive hobby. Some card sales will be going to that hobby. Yeah, and I think a lot of people are in that boat. I don't have another hobby that I can funnel, card money into. But there's plenty for me. There's plenty of Cub stuff. Although I haven't bought much Cub stuff. I think I've only bought one single Cubs card on eBay in this calendar year. One card. It was from Porter. And he reached out to me, he's like, hey, can you buy something out of my eBay store? I'll throw some good stuff, because he was testing a shipping. I'm like, yeah. And there might've been a couple cards in there, but I'm pretty sure I just bought one. And that's the only Cubs card I've bought on eBay. Now, I've bought some stuff at card shows, digging through boxes. Actually, I was just going through some stuff. Like, I bought a couple of these Cubs cards out of these were both $1. Like, this was $1. This might have been my favorite pickup of the day. It's from Upper Deck Play Ball, Home Run Heroics, Ernie Banks, with a box score in there. Wouldn't it be cool if they had like an actual like newspaper box score? Although it wouldn't be as clear as that, but it'd be like unique. It wouldn't make it worth much because newspapers aren't worth anything. But and then this like tops, and I know I have these. I don't even know. I think I bought this to put on eBay Live because I know I have multiples of those. But there you go. Dan's in the house. What's going on? George says, probably going to sell about 90% of my MLB collection, intending to keep my KBO collection. Well, that's good. So you can keep the name, the YouTube name, George's KBO collections. John working overtime using both accounts on different devices. I know we've missed that. It's been a while since we've seen both in the room, or rather attempt to sell 90%. There you go. Zach says the Red Hawk, Tim Welch. I don't think it's the Red Hawk, Tim Welch. But I think his name was Tim Welch. Let me see. I think it was Tim Welch, but it's not the Red Hawk Tim Welch, because I think the Red Hawk Tim Welch is from Oklahoma. It's got to be Tim Welch on TNA 2004, 2002, because that would have been around the time, because I would have been in Macomb. Offbeat All-Stars, good morning. Florida baseball card dude in the house. Good morning. Zach says Kyle Tucker MVP talk has cooled off faster than people complaining about the price of eggs. Michael Renicky is here, but he's still a top 10 player in baseball. And I think he's second in All-Star voting to Pete Crow Armstrong in the outfield in the National League All-Star voting. Zach says you should write it into your will that Amy has to liquidate your collection on eBay Live, legally binding. Yes, in fact, there is eBay Live today, 10 a.m. Central. So coming up in 90 minutes, we'll be on eBay Live. Dan says, last month I sold most of my camera lenses I haven't used for years, put money towards investing. Have we missed it? Have we? What was that in regards to? Have we? Oh, Low Roller Scratcher and that 70s card show in the same place at the same time. Brewers got Andrew Vaughn. How excited should I be? Probably not very excited. I'm gonna answer that for Zach, but I would say Andrew Vaughn. I wouldn't be too excited. I think that's a trade where it's like the White Sox dump off baggage and the Brewers dump off baggage. I think that's like the Cubs made a trade. This is going way back, like 20 years or more. Milton Bradley. The Cubs traded, and I can't remember if they traded Milton Bradley for another cancer or if they traded a cancer for Milton Bradley. I'm going to look this up. But it was basically it was like a dud for a dud, essentially. And that's kind of how I view the Savale Vaughn trade. Milton Bradley. So this would have been, let's look at his transactions. Silva. Okay. So he was traded by the Cubs to the Mariners for Carlos Silva. So that's what it was. So the Cubs traded him to Seattle for Carlos Silva, who was a cancer in Seattle. And it was like, man. Zach says, as excited as Rich Klein gets for prom week at Men's Wearhouse. I don't know. That sounds pretty exciting. Zach says, Vaughn should be happy he has a job. There you go. All right. So that's what I had. I got to get ready for eBay Live. I got to get Ernie to school. I think Ernie's still sleeping, though. It's only 8:30. All right. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure to check out eBay Live this morning, 10 a.m. Central. Get those bids in. 99centcards.com as well. All right. Have a great day. We'll do this again tomorrow. See you then.